Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Sofie Marin, and you are right now tuning into Arts Dynamics Masterclass, which is all about memberships and subscription models. And I am a firm believer in the fact that when you want to learn something new, you want to master a new topic or subject, why not speak with someone who walks the walk and who is an expert themselves? And I couldn't think of a better one than my very own mentor and the world's, I'd say, leading expert when it comes to memberships and subscription models. And Stu, I am so honored that you are here with me today. So welcome, Stu McLaren.
Buddy, thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here.
Well, it is thanks to you that we have a membership with Arts Dynamics. And I don't know if you know this, but it actually started a few years ago when you were doing a similar workshop as we are doing now, a masterclass with Carrie Green. And you were talking about founding memberships. And I remember I was like, I'm going to try that. And I got my first founding member during that talk that we had. And here we
are. First off, let's just take a moment and acknowledge you for taking an idea that you heard and immediately putting it into action. That, is a special ingredient for entrepreneurs that succeed, is they don't sit on the ideas, they take action on them. So I love hearing that. And I love hearing how that was just the beginning and how it's blossomed.
Yeah, for sure. And what I love about it as well, and what I love about what you teach, is the simplicity of it all. And I know we will dive deeper into this. I've actually had questions leading up to this particular talk that I'm having with you, where people want to find out more about, particularly founding member launches, but also other things. But I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that it started with that one member, which grew into a mastermind, which grew into courses and trainings and workshops. And we now have meetups in several cities. And we've just went to Greece. We're going to Melbourne, Australia, we're going to London, we're going to Berlin. And it started with that. I just want you to know that. And for people
that's awesome. Wow. What a global group. That's so cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. So, Stu, we are here to talk about memberships and subscription models. And Arts Dynamics, we're all about supporting cultural and creative entrepreneurs and freelancers. And we know it's such a huge shift right now for creators in this space. And we also know that memberships is that's the future. So can you just share a little bit about yourself and what got you into memberships? Why memberships?
Yeah, for me, it was because I had back in the day, I had a really successful consulting business. So on that front of things, it was great. Income was great, but it was a broken business model. And what I mean by that was the only way I could earn more was to give more of my time. And I was at this point where I was at capacity. I was burning the candle at both ends, so to speak. And my wife and I had just gotten married and we were looking to start our family. And I just realized that I couldn't keep the business model that I had and still be a present husband and father. So something had to give. And so it was then when I started to just ask different questions, and a mentor of mine, he was the one that suggested I start a membership. And this was back in 2008. I didn't know what a membership was. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, look, just think of it this way. He said, you serve your clients on a regular basis. Imagine teaching others what you do for your clients, but being able to teach once and serve hundreds or thousands of people. And he said, and they would pay you on a monthly basis to be able to learn from you. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing. And so I started down that journey of creating my first membership. But back then, the technology was not what it is today. And I got deep into server settings and HT access files and all this stuff that was way over my head. And I was on the verge of giving up because I just couldn't understand it all. And a friend of mine, I'm moaning and groaning to him. And he said, well, why don't you just create your own membership solution? And Sofie, I was like, is he even listening to me? I'm sitting here complaining about the fact that I can't understand the tech, and he's suggesting that I go and create my own software solution. I said to him, no, dude, I can't even think about, creating my own software solution. And he said, well, why don't you and I team up? He said, I've got a great developer that could develop this. He's like, you have a pretty clear idea of what you're looking for. And so we did. And that was in 2008. And that solution just took off. It went on to become the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress. And before I knew it, we were powering over 70,000 online communities and memberships. And so that being behind the scenes of that many communities and memberships is where I started to see what was working and what wasn't. And there was this small group of membership site owners who were doing things a little bit differently than everybody else. And they were the ones that were seeing growth year over year over year. And so I started paying attention, like, what are those people doing? And ever since, I have been teaching thousands and thousands of people how to launch, grow, and scale highly profitable memberships. So it's been an incredible journey, and it's been so much fun to be able to serve people in all kinds of different markets.
Yeah, I remember when you broke down the math of setting up a membership, and that blew my mind when you walked us through, X amount of members paying X amount of, dollars every month, and what that would stack up to for a year, and how quickly it can actually become like a proper income. Would you mind talking a little bit about that, just the monetization of a membership and how to think about that?
Yeah, I'm just going to grab my phone here. And I'd encourage everybody, if you're watching or you're listening, follow along and do some membership math with us. So let's just take, as an example, let's just take a price point of $47 a month. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to encourage people to think about like an expense that you currently have in your life. Maybe it's your car, maybe it's the groceries every month, maybe it's your mortgage, or maybe it's you want to save up for a vacation every year. Let's say, it's a family vacation that's $7,000. Okay, so $7,000 a year you want to. So what I like to do is I like to put in $7,000 as the family expense. And then I like to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So 7,000 divided by 12 would give us 583. Then what we do is we divide that by the price of our membership. So in this case, we're saying $47, and that comes out to 12. So in essence, Sofie, the thing that makes membership so powerful is if somebody wanted to generate an additional $7,000 a year, all they would need is 12 members at $47 a month, because 12 members in a membership are paying you every single month. And so when people start to realize that, they're like, wait, I don't need thousands of members. I don't even need hundreds of members. Like a small number of members, in this case, 12 members can make a significant difference. 12 members at $47 a month is more than $7,000 in income over the course of the year. Now, again, this is simple math. Not all members will stay the whole time, but people in our community, they see members stay not for months, but for years in many cases. And so I share this because it starts to make it real, where you realize like, oh my gosh, with a little bit of effort, it can actually have a significant impact on my life, my family's life, my business.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And for those of you now watching and listening to this afterwards, maybe the replay, what we just did, that little exercise, there is power in that, because I know, especially in the arts, in the creative space, we're being told we have to market to so many. It's so important to build big audiences, and often the numbers are being very, very hyped. But what you, Stu, taught me, and we are living proof that it actually works, is that you don't need that many people to begin with. You can actually start rather with a tiny little membership, or like a micro little, beta version of something, and then let that grow together with your members, and then unfold into its full potential as time passes on. So we will definitely remember that exercise. And speaking of founding memberships, because I think that's a good way to start, here we've got, in this community, we've got musicians, artists, we've got anyone working with the music, arts, cultural, and entertainment, from solo freelancers and giggers, startups, scale-ups. We've got music tech, create tech, and even arts organizations. If they were looking into finding a way, to create like a subscription model, a membership, what would they do? What is a founding member launch, first and foremost?
Well, what I would probably start with, Sofie, is I'd get clear on the different types of memberships. And really there are 4 different types that I think will help people see where their business might fit. So first off, there's a product-based membership. This is where if you have a business where you're actually selling a physical product, like back in the day, one of the very first companies to ever do this was a company called Dollar Shave Club. And what they did was they took like men's razors, and instead of men having to go and buy them every month, they just said, well, why don't we just make it easy and we'll just ship them to you? And that's an example, but that kind of example has been, spread far and wide, because you've got things like creams of the month, earrings of the month, socks of the month, underwear of the month, like all XYZ of the month. And these are examples of like product-based memberships. The second example would be a service-based membership. So this is like a service-based business that instead of hoping that clients come back and, get your service again, instead we think creatively about how could we design a membership where we know they'll be back. So an example of that would be like Mary Claire Fredette. She owns a massage studio, and her old model was hoping that clients would come back, and it meant that her income was like a roller coaster each month. Some months would be great, other months they wouldn't, and she wouldn't know the difference between the two. And so what she did was she created a membership. She did the founding member launch, which we'll walk through here in a second. And she ended up filling up her client calendar with her members. And at the start of every month now, she had the confidence of knowing how much income would be coming in because those members were paying every single month. And we've seen service-based businesses do this, like in massage, like Mary Claire Fredette, barber shops and hair salons, where you pay a certain amount per month and you get so many cuts. There's so many examples of service-based businesses that have done this. The third type would be a knowledge-based membership. This is where you're teaching people how to solve an ongoing problem, maybe they've got a puppy that's wildly out of control and they want the perfect puppy. Or maybe they've got a relationship that feels broken and they want an amazing relationship. Or maybe they are overweight and they want to get to their ideal weight. All of those are like ongoing problems that don't just get solved overnight, but that's why a membership really helps them. So an ongoing problem, or another example of a knowledge-based membership, would be somebody looking to master a skill. So, you mentioned you've got lots of creatives in your audience. I would say creatives in our community are probably the biggest market because it is so easy to be able to take people who are passionate about learning a certain style of art and turn that into a membership. Because again, we know that nobody goes from not knowing how to paint to becoming a great artist like that. Nobody goes from not knowing how to draw to becoming a great, artist like that. I think of like Bonnie Snowden as an example. She started her membership site, and I'm going to give the example. And I want people to listen to how specific her market is. She teaches people how to draw realistic animals with colored pencils. And people might think, is there enough of a market to be able to build a business around teaching people something so specific? She's built a multi-million-dollar membership, and she's done it in 2 years by focusing in on teaching people how to draw realistic animals with colored pencils. And so we got tons of examples of this, right? Because people want to learn how to master a certain skill. And in the arts, this is a phenomenal type of membership. And then the last type of knowledge-based membership would really be focused on creating convenience. So this is where perhaps a teacher like Patty Palmer, who's an art teacher. Well, what she realized was that she was sharing some art lessons on her blog years ago, and art teachers were like, these are amazing. Do you have any more of these? And the light bulb went off, which was like, well, wait a minute. What if I just create a membership and I provide other art teachers these art lesson plans? It saves them time. It gives them the space to be able to focus on their students. And so that's what she did. She has thousands and thousands of members where all she's doing each month is providing new art lessons for those art teachers. So she's creating a tremendous amount of convenience for them. So when we think of knowledge-based memberships, we're either solving an ongoing problem, helping people master a skill, or creating convenience. So we got product-based, service-based, knowledge-based, and the last one would be a community-based membership. This is where we pull people together who have a shared passion or interest, and we create a safe space for them to engage in dialogue, to engage with one another, to share that passion. You often see like different fan-based memberships that are built around this. Obviously, like imagine if Taylor Swift were to launch a $10 a month membership. She would have millions of people who would love to join that membership to see behind the scenes of her life, to see her writing process as she's writing new songs, to see some behind the scenes of performances, to see her interact with her bandmates and dancers, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's taking people behind the scenes, providing an element of entertainment and we call it infotainment, where you're educating and also entertaining at the same time. People love that. So those are the 4 types of memberships: product-based, service-based, knowledge-based, and community-based. Does that make sense so far, Sofie?
It is absolutely brilliant. And thank you for laying it out so clearly, because we've got in our community people who do all these things that you just mentioned. We do have product-based, everything from, art and craft and weaving carpets and creating perfume to musicians and songwriters, and also looking into create, as you said, community-based or entertainment-based, memberships and service-based. I know many coach and teach and train as well. So they might be the performer or the creator themselves, but also teach and train. And what I love about memberships is, as you said, when we started, is that you do one to many. So it's like you do one thing, but you reach many. And you can add that as a layer to other things that you're doing, just like we are doing here. So yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. But a question then, and again, thank you so much for coming today, Stu. I'm so happy you are here. How do you know, let's say you have that sort of, you want to start something, you feel like an itch, I want to do it, a little bit scared of that, but how do you know where to find your ideal customers for that membership? How do you connect with them? How do you reach out to them?
Well, I mean, if you are speaking to a group of people, and maybe it's on Instagram, maybe it's on Facebook, maybe it's on a podcast, maybe it's on YouTube, maybe it's on an email list, wherever you are communicating with your audience, that's where I would start. And so you asked earlier about a founding member launch, and this is where I love to gauge the interest of a market. Before I go and create anything, before I go and spend any money on, developing a membership or anything of that nature, I want to know, like, is this something that might be of interest to the market? And the great thing is like you can put out a message to your audience and gauge the interest by just simply casting a vision for what you potentially see a membership site becoming. So you could say to your audience, you could say, listen, I heard this crazy Canadian the other day who was talking about memberships. And it just got me thinking about you. It got me thinking about what we could potentially create if we brought us together, people who share a passion about X, people who love Y and Z. And imagine if we had a place where we could help each other work towards ABC, right? So you're casting a vision for what you see that membership potentially becoming. And then all you do is you just invite people to respond if that is of interest. And so I like to invite people to respond, to send me a direct message. I don't like saying, hey, put, yes, I'm in the comments, because what if nobody puts that in? Then my fragile ego gets crushed, right? So I just, I invite people to just send me a direct message. That way, nobody knows if one person or 1,000 people said that they were interested. But then once people do, then you just send them a payment link. You don't have to get everything all created, blah, 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 blah. You just send them a simple payment link for them to be able to register. And what's amazing about this is you're going to very quickly learn a ton. There's a quote on my son's wall that I love in his bedroom, and it's from the great Nelson Mandela. And it says, I never lose. I either win or I learn. I never lose. I either win or I learn. And I love that quote, because in entrepreneurship, we want to learn as much as we can, as quickly as we can. And so too often, entrepreneurs that don't succeed, the reason they don't succeed is because they take too long. They keep researching, they keep learning, they keep procrastinating on getting their ideas out into the world. And what happens, I don't know if you can relate, anybody can relate, but they don't get it out, and therefore they're not learning how the market will respond. I want to learn how the market responds, because if people don't say, yes, I'm interested, listen, don't take that to heart. That's actually a very good thing. We have learned that the way we are describing our membership or our potential offer is not resonating with our audience. So we just got to tweak the messaging so that it does resonate, so that it is alignment with what they want. If we do that, then we'll see it a success. But if nobody signs up, no big deal. We haven't created anything. We haven't poured any time, energy, and effort into it. But what if people do? And you experienced it. The moment that people do say, yes, I'm in, now we have something to work with. Now we can start working with a small group of people. We can start refining that idea, gathering feedback, developing great case studies and stories. And that helps us be able to then create an amazing membership that we are getting paid to create from those founding members.
Yeah, and you're right. What I've discovered, one of the biggest takeaways from doing this is that you are able to develop together with your members. And we have amazing members. I'm so blessed, Stu, with this community, both, our meetups and events, the membership we have, and the accelerator program that we've just launched, because they're really very active and being part of, even when we were talking about who is actually our ideal avatar, who is our ideal, when we are now growing and scaling this, who would we want to invite and who would feel welcome? And they give me their ideas and suggestions. And a shout out to all of you in Art Dynamics. I just want to say also thank you for being part of this journey, because it is really a journey. We learn and grow together. Sure. I know that time is flying, and you very kindly you said yes to stay a little bit longer. So I'm going to ask you a few more questions before we have to wrap up. And hello to those of you who are watching live and are commenting. I see you. Thank you so much for being part of this. Again, we appreciate you so much. I have a question for you about tech very quickly. Tech overwhelm. When you mentioned procrastination, you saw me do a little bit of a face. It's just because I too have felt a lot of overwhelm when it comes to technology. And as you said, today in 2024, had I started over today, I would do it way easier and simpler than I did at the beginning. But for those who are listening now and might be wondering, what kind of tech, I don't know how to set up a payment link, or where do I direct them? Do you just have a few seconds on sort of the tech side? What would you recommend?
I would encourage people to just keep it as simple as possible, because at the end of the day, you can always, upgrade and change platforms and do all that down the road. But I think of Cheryl Hatch as an example. So Cheryl, she had an idea to start a membership to help women who are running preschools. And she was getting hung up on the tech. And it was the thing that was holding her back from actually launching her membership. But then she asked a really powerful question. And this is a question I encourage everybody to write down, because it turns your brain on. She asked, how could I keep this super simple? How could I keep this super simple? And what she realized in that moment was that she didn't need to go and, research 1,000,001 different membership platforms. She didn't need to become this, tech engineer to be able to set up her membership or anything of that nature. She could actually get started by having her community on Facebook, which she knew how to use, and by delivering the content via email. So that's what she did. She had a Facebook group and she delivered the content via email. And she welcomed more than 600 paying members utilizing a Facebook group and sending the content via email before she ever created any platform. And so I share that because she is a great example that you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. That is the most important thing. I heard that quote back in 2004 from a gentleman by the name of Mike Littman, and it stuck with me because we don't have to get it right. We just have to get it going. That's what Cheryl Hatch did. She welcomed 600 paying members before she ever moved her membership to a, quote, membership platform. And so, yes, I am very biased because I run a software company that has what I believe to be the world's #1 membership platform. That software company is called Searchy. So I'm incredibly biased. That's the only platform I would recommend for people. But even still, my priority over selecting Searchy is keeping it simple so that you get going. I don't want to ever see people hold back because they're overthinking a platform, I'd rather them just keep it super simple, knowing with confidence you can always change things down the road. So
yeah.
the tech is going to be different for everybody because everybody's got different comfort levels. But I always encourage people to just take a page out of Cheryl Hatch's story. Start with a simple Facebook group, deliver the content via email. That's as easy as it can get. And then you're off to the races building momentum.
Yeah, I love that. And that is how we got started here. We kept it simple. And then as you try to grow and scale, and suddenly you have all these alternatives, and, it's a shining object syndrome. So I'm totally guilty of that. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. For those listening, I brought it up because, through knowing yourself, others. And I also want to be transparent. I mean, that's been part of the struggles that I've had growing this. And the minute I decided to just put that to the side, just simplify again, and just remember it's about the connection, and it's not really about the platform. They are just a way of delivering it. Then everything just became easy again. So thank you so much. Nissa asked, Nissa is a music tech founder. So Nissa, I've weaved in your questions. I hope you are happy with the answers. We've got another one. We've got Linda. She's building a music metaverse in Fortnite. And she had a question, Stu, just a quick question about when you are looking into, building something new together with your community, in this case, in the metaverse, environment. It might be also kids under 18, might be different groups of people. What would be your advice? Should you start for free? Should you charge a small fee? Can you start free and then charge? What would be the natural first step to take when you do that?
Well, I think the natural first step is going to be different for everybody. But what I do have some guidelines around is I think it's very difficult to start free and then also it's very difficult to start with a paid community and then down the road offer a free introductory community. I'd much rather you flip it, start with a free and then eventually move to paid. But the reality of it is that people always ask me all the time, well, what's going to be the difference between the free community and the paid community? And more often than not, it's organization, it's clarity. Like we have a free Facebook community. It has over nearly 80,000 people in that community. People are talking about membership sites. They're asking questions. It's a very active group. But the reality of it is that it's very random and all over the place. So 1 minute you might have somebody who's asking about marketing. The next minute you might have somebody who's like, I don't even know what my membership site idea should be. Then you got somebody asking about, so it's all over the place. And so what that does is it's very difficult in a free community for somebody to be able to have to sift and sort through all of that to find the few things that are relevant to them. And then for them to figure out should I do this first? Should I do that first? That's where it creates confusion. So it's free, yes, but it is not producing the long-term outcome that we can create structure inside of our memberships. In a membership, we can create a path. You know this, I talk about a success path and the importance of helping people see where are they in this journey of learning how to go from not knowing how to paint to becoming a great artist. That doesn't happen overnight. Or how do I go from just buying my first guitar to becoming a great guitar player? Again, that doesn't happen overnight. And so what we want to do is we want to break that journey down for people and help them focus on the few things that matter to them right now. And so the number one thing that contributes to people canceling from a membership site is overwhelm. And it's also the same number one thing that prevents people from ever taking action on what they're learning. So if you're running a free community, know that the number one thing that's preventing people from actually getting results is overwhelm. And the way we reduce that overwhelm is inside of our paid membership. We provide structure, we provide guidance, we provide support, and that creates clarity for people. That leads to results. And that's what keeps people paying and happy inside of a membership. So for me, if I were thinking about, should I do free community? Should I do paid community? Number one rule, don't start with paid and then introduce a free community. That'll cannibalize, your efforts. If you are going to start and want both, I would start with free and then I would introduce the paid down the road. But between us, Sofie, I would just start with a straight paid membership.
Yeah.
And I would keep the price low in the beginning, and then I'd continually raise the price in small increments. Each time you raise the price, that's a built-in promotion. And because I'd much rather build a community of paid subscribers than I would a community of freebies.
Thank you. That is so clarifying. I appreciate you for saying that. And you actually gave me an idea for us as well. So I'm going to take that with me after this session. I have a question here in the chat as we wrap up slowly but surely. And that is, do you have any advice on choice of language and markets? We have a lot of bilingual people here. And you know, I am too, based in Sweden. But we do have many people in different countries. And what is your advice when you have two languages? I know Searchy can actually translate, which is why we also endorse that platform as the #1 platform for all things video content. We are actually a partner of Searchy. I'm super happy with that, and an affiliate partner. But language and markets, what is your recommendation?
Well, I think we live in a time right now, Sofie, that is more exciting than ever before, because with the evolution of AI technology, we have the ability to be able to reach more people in more languages than ever before. Like just the other day, Sofie, this was kind of mind-boggling. My team sent me a video. It was me in the video. Me, my voice, speaking Arabic. And I was like, what is happening? Like it was me, my face, my lips, my voice, everything. And the video started out, I was in English teaching the lesson. And then they showed me then speaking Spanish. Then they showed me speaking Arabic. Then they showed me speaking like all these different, and then it came back to English at the end, and they were showing it was a demonstration. But I was like, what is happening? And so the reason this is so incredible is that it gives us the opportunity. We can create the content in one language, and then through AI technology, we can have it available in all kinds of languages. And the cost to do this is coming down significantly as the technology continues to improve. So for me, like this is so exciting. Now, if you speak multiple languages and you're like, well, Stu, I could create in this language and I could create in that language like right now, I would just pick one. Just pick one and zero your efforts in on that first. Create a membership site around that. I feel like if you're trying to, market to, two different markets, even though it might be the same content, there's two different, they're essentially two different languages, two different markets. You're duplicating efforts everywhere. To me, keep it simple in the beginning. Like, don't overwhelm yourself. Keep it simple in the beginning. Pick one language in the beginning. And then once you kind of get into a rhythm, you, of course, could branch out and replicate in another language. You could use AI to broaden your reach. There's all kinds of options from that point forward.
Brilliant. Thank you. And one final thing before we wrap up, and that is impact. I know you are big on impact. So am I, and so is Arts Dynamics. And can you please touch briefly on, I know you have your foundation, Village, let's say, so I say this correctly, the Village Impact, name?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I've seen you over the years, have you built that into the business model and how, you've set up launches around that, and, you do great things through that foundation. So if anyone here wants to do that kind of work, either as a main membership or an addition to their existing membership or something they want to build, what would be your recommendation?
Well, I am a huge fan of weaving philanthropy into one's business and life. I got pictures back here. This is a picture of my wife and I opening our 15th school. That's what we do with our charity, is build schools in Kenya. And this is actually with the president of Kenya. This was like a huge deal. And so for us, like, building philanthropy into the actual business just makes it easy and fun to be able to give. And so there are a bunch of ways to do this. One, you could just write a check, right? Like, that's the easiest way. You can just write a check, which to a cause or somebody that you're, passionate about, that you want to help. That's awesome. And that's an easy start. But there's other ways you could do it too. Like, you could weave it right into the actual product that you're selling. So for a membership site, as an example, we have a membership site, and when people join our membership, the first month of that membership goes directly to the nonprofit that we have, which is Village Impact. So people love that because it's like, it's woven right into the actual product itself. Is, people are doing good just by joining the membership, right? So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is like you actually create events throughout the year where you are giving people something that they would want anyway. And then again, the proceeds are going to charity. We've done this a whole bunch of different ways, but every year we host an event called our prediction call. People pay $47 and 100% of the money for that goes to the charity. And what we do on that is we bring in a whole bunch of outside experts who are all sharing their predictions for the upcoming year. What worked really well in the past 12 months? What do they foresee working well in the upcoming 12 months? And again, 100% of that goes to charity. And then there are other fun ways to do it. Like in our company, every quarter, we host an internal event for our team. And anybody who wants to participate can throw their name in a hat. 3 people get chosen. They have 5 minutes to present on behalf of a local charity that they are passionate about. And so we have our team members who present on behalf of a local charity. We've had people present on behalf of a local women's shelter. We've had people present on behalf of an organization helping save the coral reefs. We've had people present on behalf of an organization that's helping Native Americans. And so anyways, I share all this because then the team votes on who wins of those 3 people. And the winner gets $10,000 for their local charity. And the other 2 people get $2,500 for their local charity. And they get to go present on behalf of our company. And what I love about that is it involves the team. And so we can do it personally by writing a check. We can involve our customers through our products and weaving it right into the actual product itself. And we can also involve our team as well. And so for me, there's a whole bunch of different ways to give back, but those are some of my favorites.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we are about to set up our own Arts Dynamics Impact Fund. So let's talk more about that later in the year. So Stu,
Amazing.
Where do people go to find more? If they feel like, I want to know more, obviously they should learn from you. What would you recommend as a call to action or next step after this session where we just had today?
We have an amazing free workshop that is coming up on April 4th. And if you are listening and you're like, oh man, I'm intrigued, but I don't know exactly what my membership would be. I don't exactly know who I might be serving in my I want you to come to the free workshop because we'll help you get that clarity about who to serve, how to help them. We'll talk about like how to launch your membership in the most simple, easy way. We will also talk about like how to structure your content in the membership, and so much more. And what's fun is during this free workshop, we will have more people launch their actual membership during the free workshop than ever before. And that is exhilarating because I love watching people bust through their self-limiting beliefs and actually start getting results during the free workshop. So that's coming up on April 4th. And I think, Sofie, you're going to provide a link. Is that right?
For sure. It's artsdynamics.com/Stu. And I can highly recommend that workshop. It was that kind of workshop. It was that workshop when a few years ago when you hosted these workshops and we did this, you did a talk like this, which actually led to where we are today. And here you are as a guest of honor, sharing your expertise with the world. Stu, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing for all of us, helping us build these memberships and create predictable recurring revenue. I feel now more than ever before, it's so needed. It's so needed. So
it really is. And like now is the time to set this up. There's so much uncertainty in the world, and a membership creates certainty. A membership creates that stable, predictable revenue so that artists can focus on the thing that they love to do the most, which is create art. And business owners, we can have eliminate so much stress of guessing where sales are going to come from and instead know exactly where sales are going to come from. This is why I love memberships. Hopefully everybody will come join us at the workshop. Thanks so much for having me, Sofie.
Thank you so much. Take care, Stu. Thanks, everybody.